Today we're going to talk about evaluating expressions and replacement values. So sometimes when we have expressions with variables, like when we were talking about combined like terms, we're also told what those variables equal to the values they actually are. In these cases, your job is to replace each of the variables with their now known values and use your order of operations to simplify or evaluate those expressions. You can also use Desmos. So what is the value of this expression? I have 3 to the power of x minus 5y squared if x is 3 and y is negative 4. Whenever you substitute the values in, put them in parentheses. So I'm going to do 3 parentheses, and then instead of x, I'm going to write 3. Minus 5 parentheses, I'm going to put the y value in. I close my parentheses, and I'm going to square it. The parentheses are super important, especially if we're raising something to a power. So now I'm going to take Desmos. I can't remember if you can see that on my. Give me a sec. And I'm going to type it in. So I have 3 cubed minus 5 negative 4, which is just the minus sign, and I'm squaring it. And it tells me my answer down there, negative 53. So the nice thing about Desmos is that it will do all the work for you. The not nice thing about Desmos is if you make a mistake when you type something in, it will give you the answer for the mistake problem, but not the answer that you're looking for. And if you just use Desmos, we can't give you any partial credit because there's no work. For number 2, it says, what is the value of the expression? It gives us this lovely expression here, and it tells us each of our variables. So we have 4 parentheses instead of x. I know x is negative 2, and I'm going to square it. Minus 3 parentheses instead of x, I'm going to write negative 2 because I know they're the same thing. I have a new set of parentheses because y is a different variable. Put 3 there, and then I'm going to keep that minus the square root. Instead of p, I'm going to put 81. Because that's the only thing in the square root. You don't necessarily need the parentheses, but it's good practice to just always do it. And then again, I can just use Desmos. So when I type it in, I'm going to do 4, and my parentheses, negative 2 squared minus 3 negative 2 3 cubed minus square root of parentheses 81. And it tells me it's 169. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, but when I have something in the exponent, I'll show you real quick. So if I have 3, first for an exponent, and I get 4 up there, to get out of the exponent, I right arrow. And that will be for anything. So if you're in a square root and you want to get out of it, or the absolute value bars, right arrow, and it will make it more normal. Okay, for my next problem, I need to find the value. It's a very long fraction, 5 to the power of x minus the cube root of y all over 3z. So I'm going to have 5 to the power of 2, because x is 2, minus cube root. I should put that in parentheses for good practice. The cube root, parentheses, y is 343. It's all being divided by 3 Remember, because 3 is right next to z, that means multiplication times 3. So again, we can put that all into Desmos. So when we do fractions in Desmos, we want to, especially the long ones, you hit the division symbol first. And that'll give you the fraction bar, and then you can fill in the numerator. So 5 squared minus cube root is functions, miscellaneous, and then you can type in 3 for the cube root, and then 343 all over 3 times 3. And it tells me it is 2. The next problem, it says, what is the value of 6? It's all being divided by the absolute value of x minus 12 when x is 4. So again, I'm just going to fill it in. So 6 divided by absolute value, 4 minus 12. And then I can use Desmos again. So when I look at it, again, I probably want to do my division bar first because I got a longer fraction here. And it's 6 up top, on the bottom. Absolute value bars are the 2 lines over here. Parenthesis 4 minus 12. I click the absolute value bar again to do it. And then it says it's 0.75. Most of the time in Algebra 1, we're going to want our fractions. So if we hit this circle over here, it'll turn into a simplified fraction for me, which is 3/4. The next one's a lovely word problem. Briggs uses the expression 5G plus 625 to calculate the total amount of money in dollars he earns when selling G glasses of lemonade. If he sold 30 glasses of lemonade, how much money did he earn? Because G means glasses, that's what they told us. And I know that he sold 30 glasses. I can put 30 where G is. So I'm going to have 5 parentheses 30 plus 625. I'm going to use my lovely friend Desmos now. So I'm going to get $156.25 is his profit. And then what could the 625 stand for in the problem? There's lots of different things it could stand for. It could be the amount of money he started with, or it could be a tip for good service. For 6, it says, what is the value of this expression when A is 8, B is 16, and C is -4? Again, we're just going to plug it in. So we're going to rewrite it first. 5, and that's a cube root of 8. You should put the 8 in parentheses because I'm replacing A with it. Minus parentheses -4 square root of B is 16 inside parentheses plus 9. Again, we can just use Desmos to help us out here. So I'm going to do 5 cube roots of 8. Remember, cube root is function, miscellaneous. It's the check mark with the N in it, and then you have to put the 3 there. And you're going to type in the 8. And then to get out of the cube root, remember you press the right arrow. That's minus -4. The negative sign is just the minus sign. Square root of 16. You have to right arrow plus 9. and you're going to get 35. Last two problems. I want to know what the value of the absolute value of negative x plus 5y plus the square root of xy. So again, I'm just going to replace the value. So I have absolute value of negative parenthesis 12 plus 5 parenthesis 3 plus the square root. I'm going to multiply the 12 and the 3 together. Now, some of you guys could probably do some of that math in your head, and that's great, but please write it out before you start any math, just in case you make a silly mistake somewhere, so that we know that you know to plug the stuff in and something else just happened. You're now going to type it in. So absolute value is the bars, negative parenthesis 12, close it, plus 5 parenthesis 3. The nice thing about Desmos is if you forget something or you mistype something, you can just go back with the arrows and retype it. And we press the absolute value bar again to stop the absolute value plus square root of 12 and 3. And it tells us it is 9. And for our last problem, we're going to evaluate this. So we've got 3 times the cube root of 512, all of it squared. My phone trying to tell us it is bedtime. Parenthesis 3, and then cube root, remember functions, miscellaneous. We want the end check mark when we type in the 3 for cube root. Then we're going to type in 512. Then we're going to right arrow and put our other parenthesis in, and the whole thing is being squared. We get 576.